community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
The following is a presentation of TFNN. Trade what you see with Larry Pesavento. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, Larry Pesavento.
Okay, welcome boys and girls. Guess what? Today is the 4th day of Hanukkah. It means there's 4 more days to go, and that means we are very, very close to a very, very important day, which is today. Those of you that are really big into astro stuff, like what your birthday might be or what the sign is you're under, today is the first day of winter, boys and girls. We only have 3 more months till spring, and then it starts all over again. Isn't it a wonderful thing that God gave us? Now, I've posted the chart here of silver. This is the March silver. It is a 4-hour chart, so it goes back well over 2.5 weeks. But you can see very clearly that we're looking at a 3 drive to a top pattern in silver. It's as clear as anything can be. Now, will it make that? I am not sure, but you know what else, folks? Nobody else is either. When you say, I don't know, you mean that you really, I don't know, because it's better than saying, gee, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I don't know means you don't know. So as you see this chart, look at the top up here. That comes in at 25.03. We're trading at about 60 cents under that right now. Now, 60 cents, 80 cents actually, is not very much. It's easy for the market to actually pull back in here and go up and make another drive. But this is a really important drive, and we want to pay very, very close attention to it. Remember that silver and gold have a tendency to top during the first week in January. In 1980, on January the 8th, which was Elvis's birthday, we made a high on gold. But the market broke badly and then came back and made its final high on January the 20th at $864 an ounce. January 20th of 1980. Folks, it went down for 24 years. A 24-year bear market in gold. I'm not saying that's going to happen now, but I'm saying I'm a technician. All I do is look at these charts. They tell me whether prices are going up or not. Down, there are more sellers. Up, there's more buyers. That's all you really need to know. I'm going to prove it to you here by looking at a stock that was in the news today. They were beating up Mr. Elon Musk, one of the most successful guys of the past 20th century, along with Steve Jobs and Steve Bezos and some of the, what's his name, Steve Bezos? Is it Steve Bezos? Jeff Bezos, sorry about that. Okay, let's take a look here at this next chart that everybody's talking about today. This is the chart of Tesla. Okay, now this stock used to be $1,000. Remember, it split, I think 3 or 4 to 1, so the split's involved in this anyway. The stock is down considerably. Let me get it up here because it's a real interesting stock to look at. And I have to do it 2 ways, and I did it the wrong way the first time because I wanted you to see 2 different sections of this, which is very important because what we do in technical analysis is we look at price and we look at time, and that is quantified by AB equals CD patterns. And as you can see here, there you can see it now, since the high that we made back here, we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different 382 retracements along the way down. And if you follow what we look at is when the market is turned, we look for 382 retracements, and we look at the second one, then we look at the third one, and it helps us guide us all the way down. Is that all that we're looking at? No, it's not. I want to go through the second part of this that you need to look at because this is equally important, and that is how it gets down to where it's going. And to me, we've been saying this stock doesn't look very good. Same thing with Apple, but well, most of the stocks, hit something wrong here. Just a second. There we go. Now you'll be able to see the Tesla here with the ABCD patterns. You see the big one right here, A, B, C, D. The stock is going down to about 125. Look at this A, B, C, D. It's coming down right here. We're very few days away here, folks, right around the first of the year. Get ready to take a look at maybe buying a call option on Tesla. They're going to be cheap because the call buyers have been getting creamed all the way down. But look at all these 382 retracements and look at the perfect. I didn't even draw this one in. There was one here I missed. Well, that's the same one as this one because it's the same high. That's a 382 off of that one. So the 382 is a very, very valuable tool. You know, the problem you have when you give somebody something, they don't value it for very much, and I can certainly understand that. I read a lot about Leonardo da Pisa, da Fibonacci, and he was basically a paranoid individual. He didn't think he did anything very successful at all, but the fellow who lived right after him, named by the name of Leonardo, hold on one second, just a minute, just a second, Da Vinci, he was actually, in his memoirs at the very end of his life, he talked about what an abject failure he had been and that he had let everyone down that ever believed in him. This is one of the smartest dudes that ever lived on this planet. If you have asked Albert Einstein who were the five people, the most five famous people on the earth, and he starts with Pythagoras. He said there was God and there was man, and Pythagoras stood in between. Okay, the second one was Thomas Edison. No, not Thomas Edison. There was a, I can't remember. It was the guy with the apple tree. I can't, oh dear. This is really getting bad. Then he said there was, I'm missing it really badly here today. There was, let me see, it's Leonardo da Vinci. Oh gosh, this is terrible. I'm having a really bad hair day today. Let me think really clearly here what's going on. Hopefully, say again, please. Sir Isaac Newton. Thank you very much, Albert. Albert knew who it was. It was Newton was number 2. Number 3 was Pythagoras. Number 4 was Leonardo da Vinci. And he said, oh, of course, number 5 was me, Albert Einstein. Whether that's true, that's what he said. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Remember, these older guys did it before we had data and stuff like that. So that's it. It was Isaac Newton and stuff. So, but I do read a lot about Newton, too, because he was a pretty good guy. I don't know if you know this, but Newton lost all of his money in the South Sea Island bubble. He absolutely went bankrupt. And then he became Chancellor of the Exchequer in London. He was the very first one. And in fact, they have a coin, one of the most famous coins in the world that one of the people listening to us here at TFNN today owns one of those coins. There's only 4 of them in existence, and 2 of them are in the Smithsonian, and one is held by one of our listeners here, and the other one is mysteriously held by someone in southern Italy, in Sicily, that doesn't speak English. I don't know what his name is, but it certainly is not me. Okay, anyway, that's pretty much what we're looking at Tesla. Start looking to be a buyer around January. We'll be following this one closely because no one wants it right now. And just like Treasury bonds, no one had wanted them 10 weeks ago, and they certainly went up. So let's keep an eye on it. We'll be right back. 877-927-6648. And Shane Smolian will be our guest today.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Cakestat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Cakestat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the market's open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN. Educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Okay, folks, of those 5 people that Newton talked, or that, wow. You know what? I think old age just came into my house. Is that you that's knocking on the door? I can't remember anything. Oh, look, I am a little worn out. That's probably part of it, but it was really amazing. But we'll have to wait and see whether it comes back or not. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that because I was planning on talking about something else anyway. But I did want to mention to you folks that follow this stuff, all these patterns don't work all the time, but they work most of the time. So you got to be really careful, because when you're wrong, you're wrong. I believe in this 382 pattern so much that I see it so much every day, and yet someone sends me an email saying, look, I've tried this 382 pattern and it doesn't work. What they were doing, they were in a choppy market, and they were trading 1 and 2 minute charts. That's not what the 382 is for, folks. It really is, it's for when you have a top that has been made, okay? And I'm going to show you one right now. Take here what happened here just the other day here when the Fed was there. You see the ABCD they completed up there at that 48 level, 48 and change? Everybody can see that. There's your B leg, there's your C leg, there's your D leg right here. Okay, this was really crazy here, but right here you had the 382 retracement right there. And look what's happening today. We're having this little bounce right here, and it hasn't even become close. It's 25 handles away from the 382. Now we got 2 more days to go till Christmas, and if we only get up to that level on Christmas Eve, pop it, because this puppy is not going to open higher on Sunday night. I'd almost bet a nickel, or maybe two dimes possibly. But anyway, that's what we're watching here to see what's going on right here. Okay, all right, let's move on to a couple others. Shane Schmolian will be our guest at the break, but I wanted to bring some of those to your attention because you'll get a better idea of what's happening. Now, with the NASDAQ yesterday, you'll notice yesterday's low came in. And remember, we were saying this market was very oversold, and we were right at a Fibonacci number like you saw in the S&P. Look where you were with the NASDAQ. You were right at the 618 of the low, right back here. And you're at the 78% level of this right here. That's why we were saying we were expecting a low, so, sometimes they work. sometimes they don't. It's just really, truly amazing. By the way, the week after Christmas, we're going to have Bill Meridian is going to give us an hour program of his outlook for the year out of Cycles Research in Vienna, Austria. All nice from him. He presented this program for the Foundation for the Study of Cycles, and it was at a cost. We are going to get it free of cost, of course, which is nice of Bill, but it's really a great program outlining some of the larger cycles that he's looking at in these markets. And, he has a long-term view of these, but it's still, something that it's very, very important to pay attention to. Now, let's look here at the Apple, because we had a big move in Apple today. This is one of the main reasons why you had a 600-point up move in the Dow Jones, because Apple is one of the bigger, higher-priced ones. Well, it's only 130 now, but it used to be a lot more, but it's still quite highly priced. And as you can see, we broke down, and our high today is right back here to this low. That's all we've done so far is to come right back to that low. That's at 136. Now, what is that? 136 happens to be a 382 of the last high of the 135 pattern that we lined up, right on the money. So let's remind ourselves that you got to be really careful in these markets. This may be a major bottom. It may not. We're going to know right around the day after Christmas for sure. Remember, folks, around January, they have the January effect. The January effect means that there's a higher probability of low-price stocks, i.e. the Russell stocks, outperforming the regular larger stocks in the Dow Jones and the S&P, but it all has a positive bias. So the first 5 days in January, the rule is an old market adage, that if the first 5 days in January were up, it's going to be really good for the rest of the year. Well, I can tell you that in bull markets since 2009, that's worked every year. But before that, it didn't work every year. But that was the longest bull market that we ever had, from 2009 to 2023, January the 4th, 4 days before the King's birthday. Those of you that don't know who the King is, you're missing a good deal if you ever get down to Tupelo, Mississippi, to see where Elvis Aaron Presley was born. Okay, let's move on here to one other thing, and let's just talk about currencies, because, folks, what they're telling us in the news is not what's happening. Let me show you something here. We talked about this, and you're going to pay attention to it because it may or may not mean something. I'm a technician. I'm not a fundamentalist. I think the fundamental boys should say what's going on here. Look at this. You see the retracement here. There was the 382. Here was the big news announcement day. Look where it stopped. It never went any lower than that, right at the 1.618, right near the 786. So maybe this is a 135 pattern, a 3 drive to a bottom pattern on the bottom. 135 is lower tops and lower bottoms. When you have lower bottoms, it's a 3 drive pattern. If you have higher tops, it's a 3 drive pattern. So that's what you have to pay attention to when you're watching these ABCD patterns. Anyway, there's only about 12 to 15 patterns that I look at that work pretty good. And Gartley's book had probably, from pages 200 to 250, he probably had more than 70 of them, these triangles and stuff that I don't look at because they're a little too complex. I start everything with ABCD. To me, that's the easy way to do it. Simplicity beats complexity, and that's what I've always felt, and I try to live by that, and that's mainly what I'm paying attention to. Now, hold on one second here. I wanted to point out to you the 382 in this gold market that we've been looking at here shortly, so hold on one second, and we'll get it here, and I want to show you another one that is going to be interesting. Okay, there's the 382 right here. And you see, there was your 382 and your gold. Now you're starting to move down. Now I want to show you another one because this is a really interesting one that shows you these things don't work all the time, but they work most of the time, okay? And here's where we are. This is get this up here because it just hit just a second ago. If you like these patterns, you might like this one. And you're going to get a chance to see if it works or not. This happens to be the crude oil. Okay, we get the crude oil up here right now, and you'll be able to see it. I hope. See, right where it's trading now, at 34, that's the number. Now you're right at the 61% retracement. Your stop has got to be above 78.88. but you've got an ABCD pattern. You got all the things that tell you that, yeah, this should be it. But remember, it's probability, not certainty. Let's take a break. We've got Shane Smolian coming back at the half hour, 877-927-6648. And remember, we got a holiday weekend coming up on Monday. Monday, the markets will be closed, observing the birth of our Lord. Christmas Day, markets will be closed pretty much all over the world, but there's our places that don't recognize it. Of course, Buddhist countries and places like that. Okay, we'll be right back.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and we're speaking with Shane Smolian, the Wolf Trader. Shane, how you doing today, buddy? Uh-oh, I hope we got him on the air. Is that correct? I don't understand why he's not coming in. It doesn't make any broadsword to Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, Danny Boy. The chicken is in the pot. The eagle has landed. Hello, hello.
Is this Duke and Duke?
Yes, sir. Christmas time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
hello.
How you doing, pal? I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Larry? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, buddy, but I don't think
hello.
anybody else can too. I guess we're speaking to ourselves. So go ahead and talk. Yeah. Oh.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello.
Boy, I give up. Hello, operator. Hello, operator. Al, something is wrong. Well,
Can you
we'll
hear
see,
me?
buddy.
I think we have a delay.
Yeah, no, I think it's all screwed up. I can hear you. Oh, brother, only on a day like today. See, everybody can hear both of us. Go ahead and start speaking. Oh, shit. Oh. Whoops. Holy moly guacamole. Reminds me of Dan Aykroyd coming out of the old hotel being drunk on New Year's Eve where they had just found out that they had got rid of him and all that stuff. Okay, well, Michelle, can you hear me? Okay. Well, boys and girls, I'm on. We've got a slight problem at TFNN, so let me just cover a little bit of some stuff that I was going to cover over the holidays anyway. And that is, I'll tell you a little bit about my background in the trading part. I graduated from high school, 175 people in the class. I was 151st, I think. I was not a very good student, but gosh, I was a relatively meager athlete. I thought I was a lot better than I was. And I thought I was going to be a baseball player, but that didn't work out. And so I decided that I was going to go to college and didn't have very much luck with high school, but I had to take the proficiency test to get in Indiana, and I did okay in that. And then once I got started into college, I became a member of a fraternity, and I began working as a scrub nurse at the local hospital, St. Anthony's. It was a 300-bed hospital, which I lived in for 5 years. They had a beautiful place there where the residents used to live, and so I had a nice little apartment there inside the hospital where I worked as a scrub nurse for during those years. I got a master's degree in business from University of Indiana. I got a BS degree in chemistry, and then I started that master's degree. And when I got into the master's degree program, the very first professor that I had was a professor in statistics. Well, all my work in my 5 years of undergraduate was all in science, physics, chemistry, all that stuff, which I did pretty good in. But when I got into statistics, it was really tough, except for the first week. After the first week, Dr. Noblet started to talk to what he really enjoyed was speculation. He had in his office, he had charts of wheat and corn and IBM and what was the other one, Montgomery Ward, and some of the stocks that don't exist anymore. But he did a little stock trading, but he did a lot of commodity trading, especially in the grains and stuff. And during that time, we had cattle come into trading in the early 60s. And then right after that, we started getting some silver contracts. And then in 1976, we got the gold contract. But in the 60s, what was happening was when Lyndon Johnson took over from JFK, the first thing he did was we had a huge silver stockpile, and he wanted to sell that silver stockpile so that they could get ready to fight in Vietnam. That's what it was all about. And so they made a proclamation that we were going to dissolve all of our silver certificates, which said bear to the bear 1 ounce of silver. I show these around quite a bit. So I started collecting these, but I was collecting them basically from my uncle's brother, my grandfather's brother, who was actually a bookmaker. He actually ran the baseball and football cards in that area of southern Indiana, so he had a lot of cash. And so a couple years later, in 1967, when silver had gone from $1.80 up to about $3.40, they were redeeming these certificates. So if you had 1,000 ounces, you could redeem it for, at $1,800, you can redeem it for $3,400. Well, I told my Uncle Chuck, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take 10,000 over to Indianapolis, and I'm going to bring you I bring him $15,000 back, and I get to keep the rest. And he said, you mean you're going to give me 50% on my money? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, all right, let's do it. He said, you've been a good boy so far. Don't screw this up, is what he told me, in Italian, of course. So I went to Indianapolis, did the transaction, came back in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours later. It was still almost around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, can we ever do this again? I said, we can do it now. I said, I can be back there in an hour, which was about 70 miles away. And we did it twice. So in that day, here I am, just a kid. I'm only 26 years old. 27 years old, and I have in my hands $30,000 in cash. Well, over the next couple of weeks and months, we did several more transactions, doing them the same way, and silver kept rising and rising and rising. Got up to about 480, then it backed off later on to around 260. But with that money, I put it away. I buried it out there on the farm, and I continued to work for Eli Lilly and doing stuff like that. I took some money out to buy my mom a truck, and I paid off what little mortgage she had, and that's pretty much what I did. And then when I got to California, I started trading, and this was in, oh my goodness, I can't remember the years. They go so fast. But I started in Westlake Village, and one of the first people I met down in the area of UCLA where all the traders were, and the Investment Center bookstore, there was Larry Williams, Peter Eliades, oh my gosh, Mike Marcus, Joe DiNapoli, oh my gosh, there's so many of them, Jay Crosp, Peter Eliades. I mean, there are just so many of them there, and they all started trading with Conti Commodities across the street. And I started buying and selling grains, looking with a little bit of stuff that I knew. And then a book came out called The Profit Magic of Stock Transaction Timing in 1970 by James Hurst. And Hurst, about 15 years later, he later became my customer when I was at Drexel. But I took his class up in San Francisco at the, what was the name of that? Boy, it was a nice hotel. Anyway, I met John Hill. And John Hill took me under his wing that day in 1970, and he stayed with me. He's still with us. He's with us and not with us. But up until 2 years ago, he was doing pretty good. He's still alive. He's 97. He's going to be 98 here coming up in April. But he's still alive, but his mind's not working too good. And I'll be right back with more of the story of Larry P. as in me.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Okay, folks, I have continuing the story when I met John Hill in 1970. I was trading at Conti Commodity, but during 68 and 67, I was also mentored by Oscar McClure, Jim Sibbets, and Earl Haddady, along with my really close friend and dear mentor in soybeans, Dave Nelson. And those guys were specialists in grains, and they were very bullish corn, wheat, and soybeans. And around 1972, the old Russian president decided, well, we're going to have to need some stuff over here, and it began the Russian grain robbery. And that was in 72. It lasted for 1 year. It took soybeans from $3 to $12.99. Folks, that was an absolute fortune. And some people there in that office at Conti Commodity wrote it all the way up. I wrote it part of the way up, but unfortunately, being the naive person that I was, I went ahead and started speculating, doing what I was doing. I was buying 8 and 16-day lows. It worked beautifully for 2 years, and I ran just a few $1,000s up to well over 7 figures. And then from the period of my birthday, July 28th, 1974 until October, I gave it all back. With the fact I owed Conti $2,700, and back in those days, there were no margin calls or anything like that. It was covered by the firms that the clearing firms. So I was no problem, and I told them, look, I don't want to trade until I learn more. And then a couple of weeks later, I saw a nice trade in pork bellies, and I made back the $2,800, and then I closed the account. I didn't trade it again for well over a year and a half. What I did was I would go down to the Investment Center bookstore about 3 blocks away there on Little Santa Monica Boulevard, about a mile from the office, and every afternoon I would study these different books. Well, the guy that owned the bookstore was a very good friend of mine after a period of time, because I was working for Eli Lilly, and his mother was a diabetic, and she needed pork insulin, which is not easy to get and very expensive. But because I still had my contacts at the medical department there in Lilly, I was in research and marketing. I called him and I said, hey, we'd like to get some medicine for her. I said, she's a good friend. It would help us down the road. And it was really no problem. The secretary just had to fill out the forms to make sure she got the insulin every month. And boy, he really thought that was great. And so he said, look, I'm going to do you a favor. He said, I'm going to show you my most prized possession in this library. And he opened up this 3-ring binder written by H.M. Gartley in 1937. He said these 500 pages sold for $1,500 in 1937. He said he died in 1969, and this was just a few years ago. And he said he's only sold about 12 of them. And he said there's very, very few. Now remember, this is when Xerox is just coming out. So, it's really hard to get these things, printed. But he showed me, he said, look, at pages 200 and 250 are the real trading patterns that he worked on. He said the other stuff is related to fundamentals and, what the market is doing as far as I forget the word that he used, overbought or oversold, and he said, you stay with these patterns. That's what you really want to do. Now, we've got Shane on the line now. Is that you, Shane?
Can you hear me, Larry?
Yes, Duke and Duke's offices have had some problems in the back office, and mainly because it's party time, and I can't get these secretaries away from the gin machine. Hey, Shane, could you do this tomorrow? Because we've only got a few minutes here, and I don't want to waste your time. Would you be able to do it tomorrow?
I can do a little bit now, maybe a little bit now, a little bit tomorrow if you want. Or...
Okay, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're looking at today? Fire away.
Sure. Okay, so first of all, there's a big cold front coming. I don't know if you know this, but there's this big
in Miami
massive,
Beach.
Yeah, it's coming all the way down. We got they say it's the strongest front in 40 years, but
wow.
I disagree with that, but it's pretty strong. I mean, we're going to get down into maybe the upper 30s here, so.
Okay.
It's coming down through the eastern seaboard. You're going to be spared over there in Tucson, but.
Are you kidding me? It was 37 today.
Wow. Okay.
That's cold.
All right. So S&P 500. Just a quick summary here. I think there's a good chance the bear market may be over, and these Fed internals that we track went into a buy for the first time in October, for the first time since January 6, 2021, and the Fed use is in a buy. And I think the Fed is pretty much done with their cycle here. They talked a little bit more hawkish in the last meeting, but they're starting to reduce rates. So you got to watch what the Fed does, not what they say. And they are starting to pull back on the tightening. And they really have not even tightened the mortgage-backed securities. I want to point that out to everybody that when we talk about the quantitative tightening, the mortgage-backed securities are an asset class there that they haven't really touched that, which I think that's interesting, because if they were serious about the tightening, they would have tightened that down. So generally, we still have a positive holiday seasonal, and we also have positive election seasonals going forward. So after the election, the markets tend to rally into the spring. So I think we still have a generally positive. I know the market's been pulling back for a few days here, but we finally did get a little bounce off the lows here. The fear index was pretty low. I mean, we got down to like 38 in the mid to low 30s, which is low for this time of the year. Usually, that's not what we see. I do want to point out that if you go online, everybody is talking about a crash. It's 2008. I mean, I just took a few screenshots here just to show you the fear factor that's out there. People are saying that's going to be worse than 2008. There's going to be a 70% drop in housing. 2023 crash. Don't buy anything for 18 months. And I mean, there's so many people on one side of the trade here that I just wanted to point this out. I think it's something to take note of, that there is a one-sided deal here in terms of what the people are seeing. So I am definitely more bullish on the S&P, and I think that when you start to see this many people stacked up on the bearish side, that's a pretty good contrarian indicator. It's just something to pay attention to. Everybody's talking about this quote-unquote crash coming. I think we've probably seen the worst of it. And you can see here that we're chopping higher here. This is the intraday chart here, but the Fed internals are in a buy now. So you do have you have a helping hand here from the Fed. We do have a divergence with the Fed internals. I do want to show you this. This is something that I talk to my subscribers about. Usually, when you have a divergence like this, when the market is falling and the Fed is pushing higher, the market usually follows up and catches up with that. So I was talking about yesterday, you were mentioning Apple. Apple was yesterday, Apple was making the RSI. I tracked this best RSI for Apple, and it was at a 2022 low. I said that yesterday. I said we are at a 2022 low. The Fed use was in a buy. The quad lunar cycle was in a buy, and we were at this 2022 low. I said this is a very, very good opportunity here for Apple. And then we had that big move today on Apple. So I think there's a lot of signs here that we could be bottoming, and it is unusual for this time of the year for it to be falling like this, but I still think we have a lot of positive energy behind us. Now, there's something else that I want to look at here, which is the money flow. I found this very interesting. This top chart is the S&P 500 up here, and down here is the money flow. This is a money flow period of 5. This thing hit 0 yesterday, and that's pretty rare. I mean, it happens occasionally. But this cycle, this has been chopping higher, and this hits 0, right? So the S&P is making higher price, and this money flow hits 0. I think that's a bullish look for the S&P. I mean, this is, you have a lot of factors here converging, but the main thing here, of course, is what is the Fed doing? The Fed is trying to push this higher, And ultimately, this market, it cannot ignore the Fed for too long. So I do favor this S&P being more on the bullish side here. And I think the Fed's going to continue here to be positive for this market. Now, again, I know that they talked hawkish in the last meeting, but you got to focus on what the Fed is doing, not what they say, because
if you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Okay, folks, I want to take a few minutes here to talk about Tim Bost, one of our friends from Financial Cycles Weekly down in Florida. He is in the recovery area now. He's in rehabilitation. He's out of intensive care, but he needs a lot of prayer and a lot of white light. That's all he really needs. If you can do a little bit of that, look up to the sky and say something to the big guy and in his behalf, because he's really a nice guy. And he's struggling, but he thinks he's going to make it. It's going to be a long road back, but in a couple of months, hopefully we'll have him back on the air here, and he'll be 100% recovered. He's recovering from a very rare disease. I don't know exactly what it is. It's one of those French names that's something like when you're ordering escargot or something, but it's really, it's very, very rare. He had it once before and beat it. The doctor said it would never come back again, but it did. But he's at a different age bracket now, but he's doing okay. And that's pretty much it of what we're looking at here today. Yes, I can cover the news here when we come up here. No problem for that. But anyway, let's try to do something for our neighbors out there, folks. There's some folks out there that are really hurting, and with this cold weather coming into Florida, and weather that we've had here, it's really, really something. So we'll get that. But Shane will be on the air tomorrow to finish up the show. And we always like to have him as a guest anyway. So let's play a game of who can give the most white light to Tim Boss, because he's really a super guy, and he tries to help as many people. He's very philanthropic. And so let's try to do that, along with your neighbors. So mainly remember those. This is Christmas time, folks. This is what it's all about, you know. Santa doesn't come down that chimney for nothing. You know, he's bringing presents for everybody, but some of them don't get them. That's you too, Shane. Are you still on the line?
I'm still on the line. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you come to the offices of Duke & Duke, 100 South Broad Street tomorrow. We're having our Christmas party, and you're our guest.
Thanks, Larry.
We'll see you later. You bet, folks. May God bless, folks.